Basic Math, Chapter 11, Section 3, Finding the Part. A percent problem consists of three numbers. There's the percent, the whole, and the part. So 25% of 100 is 25. You can find the part if you're given the percent and the whole. This problem can be asked two ways. Find 25% of 100. What is 25% of 100? Let's take a look at an example when we're asked to find 35% of 80. And remember that the clue word of means to multiply. So it's hard to multiply a number when it has the percentage sign, so the first step is to change the percent to a decimal. 35% equals 35 hundredths. So now we have a number with the decimal that we can multiply with in step 2. Multiply the decimal by the number that comes after the word of. Write the decimal point in the correct place of the product. So we were finding 35% of 80. So of 80 puts 80 times 35 hundredths. 5 times 80 is 400. 3 times the 80 in the tenths place is 2,400. Add them up, you get 2,800. The 35 hundredths has two decimal places, so you move two decimal places to put into our product, so we get 28. 35% of 80 is 28. Example 2 says, what is 125% of 40? So step 1, change that percent to a decimal. So 1 and 25 hundredths. Step 2 is multiply the decimal by the number that comes after of. Write the decimal point in the correct place value. 1.25 times 40. And that's going to give us 50. 1.25 has two decimal places, so our product has two decimal places. 50 is 125% of 40. I think I'll need a little more room, so I'm going to do the directions are to find the part. So let's take a look at number 3. So 15% of 40 is something. So we got to figure out what that something is. Step 1, change the percent to a decimal. So the percentage sign goes away and you put a decimal point 2 places to the left. And now we're going to multiply that times the number after of, which is 40. And so this is going to be 0, and then 20, and 6. We have two decimal places in 15, so we move the decimal 1, 2, 6. So 15% of 40 is 6. All right, let's take a look at number 12, since we have more space. Step 1, 49% becomes 49 hundredths. And then we're going to multiply that times 1,000. And we're going to count the zeros. We've got 1, 2, 3 zeros. So we're going to move the decimal place 3 times to the right. So the answer will be 49 becomes 490. 49% of 1,000 is 490. Same thing for number 9. We wanted to find 34% of 100. You could write 34 as a decimal, and when you're multiplying by 100, you're going to move the decimal place 2 times to the right by the number of zeros. There's 2 zeros in 100, so the new decimal place will move 1, 2, and so the answer will be 34. Practice B. Answer each question. Alright, we need some more space to do these as well. Let's take a look at 14. So what is 40% of 80? So the first step is, and we'll write it over here, 14. So 40% becomes 0.40. We kind of multiply that by 80. So 0, 0, 16. 2 decimal places, 16. So 40% of 80 is 16. Well, let's do number 16 now. 23% is 23 hundredths. 23% of 200. I forgot to put the multiplication symbol. So 0 times 0, 0 times 23, 0 times 23 for this one, Now 2 times 3 is 6, and 2 times 2 is 4. We've got 2 decimal places. So we move 2 decimal places. So 23% of 200 is 46. So just remember, for step 1, you turn the decimal into, or the percent into a decimal. Like 68% becomes 68 hundredths, the decimal. And then you multiply by the number that comes after of, in this case, 50. And there's 2 decimal places, so the product gets 2 decimal places. So 68% of 50 is 34. So that's how we work finding the part. What does this look like for everyday problem solving? The student counselor made a chart of after-school jobs. How many girls work at supermarkets? There's supermarkets. 65% are girls. 60 students altogether work at supermarkets. So we can find 65% of 60. And so we turn 65% into a decimal times the number after of. Two decimal places. So the answer is 39 girls. How many boys work at supermarkets? Well, this time we've got 35% of them as boys. So this would be the problem of finding 35% of 60. There's still 60 students that work at the supermarket, but 35% of them are boys. So you can work that out on your notebook, and then you can do 3 and 4 for a little bit more practice. See if it's making sense, and then go to your workbook for Chapter 11, Section 3 for more practice, and let me know if you have any questions. Thank you.